there is no compromise on organizing internationally. That you can be anti-racist in the United States, you can, and I can mention a number of people who are and have been. But real anti-racism is dependent on international connections. It's dependent on seeing the various ways in which people live and struggle and incorporating that into what you stand for, what you believe in, and what you must be supporting in what you do. And that when you are doing something, you are accountable also to them. There is no other way to be anti-racist except what you do takes into account other people's struggles and ensures that you never do anything that undermines other people's struggles. This is not easy, but it's absolutely crucial.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. She's a member of my organization. My other organization. Yes, I wanted to say something about the effectiveness of the Palestinian struggle. You know, I don't know a lot about it. I'm really dependent on my leadership. They give me a lot of information which I wouldn't ordinarily have because I'm engaged in other things as well. And yet you find things out all the time about how important the Palestinian struggle is in the whole of the Middle East. We have to say how much we owe to that struggle, and who has admitted it, not admitted it, proclaimed it, have been Egyptians who said that the Egyptian struggle, the working class struggle that has gone on there, by the way, led by women, they walked out of these factories, they came together and they said, where are the men? They couldn't find them. Anyway, those struggles were inspired by the Palestinians. That's terribly important to know. It's terribly important that what one set of people are doing, whom we are supporting, is really also that struggle in support of a whole set of other people. And we have to look at the whole of the Middle East again and in other parts of the world and to see how much the anti-Zionist struggle really is inspiring the rise of the movement generally. Let's look and see where that is. Okay, what's standing in our way? Well, Callie made a good start on the NGOs. There are more NGOs per person in Haiti than anywhere else in the world. It's also the poorest country. Is there a connection? Yes. Somebody's collecting the money, but it's not Haitians. That's what the NGOs have done. That's where the NGOs have utilized their role in assisting privatization almost everywhere where there was a welfare state. It's NGOs who do it now, who are not accountable, who do what they like, and they're helping us. And then they say, they have the nerve to say that they're the movement. Well, we can't allow that. And those of us who are in NGOs, some of them do good work, but we must always be aware of their limitations, and we must always spell out, because of our own experience in NGOs, exactly how they work and how they undermine the movement. That's an important job that NGOs have to, people from the movement in NGOs have to perform. Same thing true, forgive me, I'm so sorry, with academia. You know, academia, they get their views largely from books. Not the speaker before, I have to make an exception in that case. But they also talk in language that I do not understand, even when it's in English. Now, that's not acceptable in the movement. We have to be understood by anybody who wants to hear. We have to be available, accessible, and speak with words of one syllable that relates to people's concrete experiences of life and struggle. And academia has had far too much power for far too long, have often been the leaders of left-wing movements. They live in academic departments. I mean, that tells you what's happened to the left. You know, it's really not good enough. And those of us who are academics, there's a lot that we need from you. We need information from you. We need connections from you. Sometimes we need photocopying from you. There's a lot of stuff you can do for us. But you can't expect to lead the movement from academia. You can't. The only thing you can do is lead a publishing house, which is useful. I'm not saying it's not useful, but we don't confuse the movement with sectors of people who are in places of management of the society. You see, there's a difference between leadership and management. And we don't want management to be leading or attempting to lead the movement. Oh yes, okay. An important problem that we face in the movement, which we have been encouraged to have, is self-indulgence. We don't want to get up in the morning. If you have to leaflet at 7, can't I do it at 8? Not good enough. Our points of reference are the Palestinian struggle. They have to get up at 6. You know, it is quite important that we look at our habits and see that they conform to our principles, not the other way around. Okay. And now I'm going to get really unpopular and say, very closely connected to this is horizontalism.
What?
Horizontalism. It means all of we is one, there ain't no difference among us. Well, there is. Horizontalism is the view that you don't need leadership and that everybody, you know, everybody should be on one level. It's not like that. We have, first of all, to see what society imposes on us in the way of a hierarchy, and it is a very complicated hierarchy. You know, our Indian member of the Global Women's Strike said, oh, you don't know what it's like in India, we have 4,000 castes. I said, we have 4,000 castes in London. Only they're not labeled in that way, but we know very well what the hierarchy is among us. It's on race, it's on class, it's on gender, it's on disability, it's on age, it's on wages, it's on sector of society, all the ways in which we are divided. And one of the things that I expect my leadership to do, and so far they've been doing okay, is that they have to expose the hierarchy so that we can attack it, not hide it, not make believe it isn't there, not raise our consciousness so we don't notice it. Okay? The point is that we really need leadership, not management. You know, for me, leadership is not privilege, but hard work, because you have to work out all the time why you're thinking such backward thoughts. That's what a good leader is doing 24 hours a day. Well, 20. Okay. So I think we have to open a discussion or continue a discussion among us about what relationships we want in our organization, which are an accurate reflection of our political perspective, so that there is one continuum between what our principles are and what our practice is internally and externally. I think that's terribly important. Look, I'll just say one other thing. I don't know about armed struggle or not armed struggle. I don't want to have a view on what the Palestinians should do because I don't know. And I don't think that we can know from this distance. But I just think that we just have to pay attention to what we are doing, and they will get on with it. I want to say, finally, the Israelis have got away with what they've got away with because we have allowed it. There's no other reason. There's only us and them. Who else is there? But they've got away with it because the theory that enabled them to make an exception of themselves is what we in the movement, at least in the West, and I see that also in third world countries, we have accepted, which is identity politics. I have been exploited, and therefore I have a right to exploit her, him, and him. That's identity politics. I have ambition, and I have a right to fulfill my ambition at her expense, her expense, her expense, and her expense because I have been exploited. And when we finish with Zionism, which indeed we will, then we will also have finished with identity politics, which allows those who have suffered to exploit without limit. We will not have any of it. Not we in IJAM, not we in the movement, not we in the world. Thank you.